Hello and welcome to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio, 88.5 HD2. And we have a special guest with us today. We're back for the first show of the spring semester, and it's Ray Golsla. He is the director of SBCN. He is a big Florida State fan and a football watcher, and he's on today to talk all the NFL playoffs and college football. And so, Ray, how's been your day so far?
Thank you for having me, Carter. It's been a good day. Bought some new stuff for adult softball league I'm playing in.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. So getting into the sports spirit. So for our show today, we are going right into the NFL football playoffs. Then we're going to talk about the outcomes and rumors around the NFL and then the college football championship. And of course, at the end, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. Next, we're going to listen to Friends by KB and Ty Brissell. Before we listen to Where'd It Go Wrong by David, a little bit of a slower playlist today. We'll be back after this quick song to start our NFL playoff recap. Hello and welcome back to Catching Up with Carter here on Saddleback College Radio, 88.5 HD2. We just listened to Friends by KB and Ty Brissell. And now we're going to get right into our NFL football just recap. All these playoff games. We had the divisional playoffs, wild card playoffs last week, and we're going to start with the AFC. We're going to start with the Texans versus the Chiefs. And I just want to know right away, Ray, what did you think going into this game? What was your thoughts before even this game happened?
I wanted the Texans to win, but I knew the Chiefs would. It was a given. And I think that the Texans played well, but there definitely was some room for improvement.
For improvement, yes, I do agree. So looking at these just quarter recaps, starting off in quarter one, the Chiefs, they got off to an okay start, but not crazy. They were up 6-3 in the first quarter. That's really it. Only 3 field goals total in the game. Were you expecting more? Were you expecting more points? I feel like there was some thought that there'd be more.
I was expecting more. I think that both defenses did a really good job, though, in the first half. Or first half, yeah. I'll say first half.
Yeah, I mean, as we see, the second quarter, only 13 points total for the Chiefs. I mean, that's really not a lot. And I even wrote down the Chiefs, they get a field goal earlier in that first quarter. And I put voodoo magic again because it's just insane. This team, I swear there's something going on with them. They just always get these calls going on. Then the third quarter, it was 13-12, so it was a 1-point game. And then the fourth quarter was a lot of points kind of scored. It went back and forth. So 20-12, the Chiefs, they got another touchdown. And then just kind of went back and forth as the Chiefs, they got a field goal. And then, I mean, there was a safety at the end from the Texans. So there was something.
There 2 safeties this?
There's only 1 safety in the game.
But I think there was another one in the Rams game.
Yeah, there was another one there. And in this game, it was crazy because there was a call on, like, basically on DraftKings for a 9.5-point spread. And that, this safety at the end of the game ruined everybody's parlay.
Wow.
That's what everyone was talking about because what was going on is there's a safety at the end and it didn't even really matter to the game. And I wrote down, Chiefs get bailed out again by the refs. What did the Texans have to say about it? And I put D'Amico Ryan's comments, and I'll say it here. We knew coming into this game it was us versus everybody. When I say everybody, it's everybody. All of everybody, whatever the naysayers, the doubt, everybody we had to go against today. And he basically said it with a laugh. With that, knowing going into this game, what we were up against, we can't make the mistakes that we made. We had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes that happened. We can't make the mistakes that we made. So looking at D'Amico Ryans, he kind of took it a little bit, but he also kind of said that he's against everybody. So what do you think those comments kind of meant? Do you think he was poking fun at the refs a little bit?
I mean, you can't take it any other way. Yeah, of course he was. Especially in that fourth quarter is where they pretty much lost the game. Any shot they had. Yeah, I mean, the Texans, I mean, this year, that going into the season, the team they had was, on paper, incredible.
Their on-paper team was insane. They had Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and then lost 2 of them.
Yep.
They only had Nico Collins in this game. They lost Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs early in the year. Well, Tank Dell later in the year to the Chiefs. They lost him. But this game in general was crazy. When watching this game, Troy Aikman actually on the broadcast said it best. He's like, Mahomes does not need to do what he's doing, which if you watch the game or saw any clips about it, he was walking out of bounds. He would run for like 2 yards. He'd get to the sideline. He'd stop and wait for someone to shove him, and he flopped In the game, he got to the sideline, got pushed, flopped out of bounds 4 yards, and everyone was freaking out thinking there was supposed to be a call. And Troy Aikman on the broadcast goes, "Oh, come on." He even said it. An NFL quarterback, a broadcaster said it. So do you think Mahomes is kind of ruining his legacy with this? Is he, because, I mean, of course, he's a 2-time Super Bowl winner. He's going, or 3 times, sorry, and going for, another one, a three-peat. What's going to happen?
Listen, you cannot disgrace Patrick Mahomes, okay? You can't do it, I'm not a big fan of the Chiefs, but, disgracing Patrick Mahomes on live radio is...
I'm not disgracing him. What I'm saying is he ruining his own legacy by getting these calls forced on him? Like, he is flopping down. He's sliding late. He's wanting to get hit to get these 15-yard penalties, which is smart. It is smart. But is it going to ruin how people perceive how he won these rings?
Is it a little bit dirty? Yeah. I don't think it's going to ruin his legacy. I think that he can do whatever the hell he wants, and his legacy is going to stay fine. Unfortunately, that's just how it is in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I see that. I also have, there's the refs comments. Will Anderson, he actually had some thoughts too. Will Anderson had a hit. It was a roughing the passer, kept the drive alive early in the game to get that field goal early. And it says right here, it looked like he came up high. This is from a rules analyst, so they thought it wasn't. And then the ref said, I had forcible contact to the face mask area, so I went with roughing the passer on that play. Referee Clay Martin said via a post-game pool report with a member of the Pro Football Writers Association. So he said that he went for the face mask, and in the play, there's no face mask hit at all. It is the upper chest. There's a lot of talk right now that these refs should be full-time. These refs are part-time and don't have the full-time of, their full-time job isn't being an NFL referee. Should the NFL, $1 billion corporation, should they have NFL referees be full-time?
Yeah, obviously. I think that's a good thing. I don't think there's any downside to that. If you're like an organization like the NFL, you have the money to put into something like that. Would it help with play calling? I agree. I think the play calling could be, I'm not trying to diss any of the refs. Pressure's on, but if they have a full-time gig and it's being a ref, they're all in. So I think it would be beneficial.
I also think the fans would like it because they then
100%.
know, okay, the play was missed, but this guy, he's working all year long. It's not like he's just showing up and he was he's a bartender during this time and he's now an NFL referee. He's there all year learning. And I just have one more stat to point out, and I know that I'm nitpicking. I'm a Niners fan, so I will say that now. I do not like the Chiefs, but I will say this stat was something that I just can't deny is real. It's, according to ESPN Stats and Information, the Texans are the first team to outgain their opponent by more than 100 yards, 336 yards for the Texans, 212 for the Texans, commit 0 turnovers, and lose a postseason game. Previous such teams are 49-0. So now it's 49-1, 49-0 when they outgain their opponent by 100 yards. It is kind of telling. I mean, 100. It's almost over 100 yards of penalties were occurred against the Texans, and they lost this game. This is insane to me.
That I did not know that statistic at all. That's insane.
It is ridiculous. But moving on to the next game on Saturday that I think is a little bit more ridiculous was Commanders versus Lions. So going into this game, I want to know your thoughts. For me, I thought, okay, Lions are 8.5-point favorites. Mm-hmm. They're going to win this game by 40.
No, I had the Lions winning this for sure.
100%, and it was not that way. First quarter, the Lions, they were up 7-3, so there was a little bit of hope there. In the second quarter, it was the highest scoring quarter in postseason history.
Wow.
That was one of the stats that I saw. And so it was 7-3 going in, and at the end, it was 21-31. Commanders scored, I'm trying to do the math in my head, 28 points in the second quarter, and the Lions scored 14. So a ton of points were scored, and it was ridiculous. Right at the end of the second quarter, they got a touchdown to Zach Ertz. So it was kind of, in my opinion, a lot of people thought it was done by then. And then looking into the fourth quarter, wasn't much else. Commanders, 45 points scored against the number 1 defense in the NFL. Insane. And 31 points only for the Lions. And looking at some other, just the turnovers were not great as well. The Lions, they turned over the ball multiple times. Jamison Williams, a wide receiver, on the drive to basically win the game, threw an interception. A wide receiver on a trick play. And a lot of people are talking about Ben Johnson. Was he thinking about his new head coaching job because he just got signed with the Bears? Was he thinking about that more than the game?
I'd say so. Yeah. To do something like that is questionable, to say the least.
A lot of people even memed on Ben Johnson today and said, now he gets his Januaries off, which a lot of people were laughing about that because the Bears, they have not been great. But, yeah, they signed Ben Johnson. I even saw a post today. They gave a standing ovation to him when he walked in. So I don't know if that was a standing ovation for how he coached, too. Maybe it was both for him coming in and also getting the Lions out of the playoffs. But I couldn't believe it watching this game. Ben Johnson the offensive play calling was not great, and Jared Goff wasn't good either. But Jaden Daniels, I saw a lot of people using some edits with Jaden Daniels because Chris Carter said earlier in the year, he said the best quarterback in the league was a guy from Washington, a rookie from Washington, and everyone was, what do you mean? But we're looking here, he's 2-0 in the playoffs, okay? He went in his first game 24 of 35 for 2 touchdowns. Second game 22 for 31, 2 touchdowns. Won both games, and he's a rookie. He could go and beat the Eagles and be in the Super Bowl. What do you think about Jaden Daniels?
I mean, I wanted Tampa Bay to win, honestly.
I did too.
Seeing Jaden Daniels and the Commanders come out to play Tampa Bay, I was surprised, and I really liked the way that he was playing. And then to see him defeat Detroit again. He really has a lot of talent, and I think it proves all the naysayers.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of people are talking about Caleb Williams. Yeah. Caleb Williams was drafted above him.
Yeah.
And, the statistical evidence showed that they played about the same this year, and the Commanders just had a better team. But no, I mean, 2 playoff games. He's 2-0 in the playoffs. That is the biggest stat. And, yeah, I couldn't really get over it. Just Jaden Daniels. I think right now, best NFC quarterback.
Potentially
right now.
Listen, we'll see what happens when they play the Eagles, but
is Jalen Hurts doing is Jalen Hurts carrying that team? I don't think so.
No.
We're talking about here. It's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's go into that Eagles-Rams game because we're moving into Sunday because we were talking all about Saturday. Now it's Sunday. Eagles, they really just played not great until the snow started falling.
It was interesting. The game was really close. But yeah, once that fourth quarter came around, the Rams definitely took a toll.
The Rams could not do anything. And so looking at this game recap, quarter 1, Eagles were up 13-7. They got basically 2 touchdowns. They did miss that extra points. They were a little bit nervous about some kicking. But then the quarter 2, just a field goal for the Rams, so not really much scoring. That was right when the snow started coming down, so really no one could do anything. And then quarter 3, Eagles were up by 1 point, 16-15, so we thought this was a game. We thought the Rams had it in their hands. And then the Eagles won 28-22. There was something at the end. The Rams could have won, but there was an offsides, actually, by the offensive lineman for the Rams, and just ruined their drive. But earlier than that, there was, a 73-yard run from Saquon Barkley for a touchdown in the snow.
Yeah.
This guy should be in the running for MVP, but he won't be because of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, which we'll talk a little bit after this. But Saquon Barkley, what do you think about this guy? He went from the Giants, now the Eagles, and he's could be in the Super Bowl. His first year with the new team.
I think he's an incredible player. And yeah, a lot of people were saying when he first got traded over he was on the wrong team for a while, and it shows. I mean, he's an absolute menace when it comes to this game.
Number 1 our offensive line, and got a pretty good quarterback behind him. I'm not no offense on Jalen Hurts. I did say that I think he's
okay?
I'm not going to say that he's better than Jaden Daniels. We'll see. We'll see on this next coming weekend. But I do see that Jalen Hurts doing a great job. He had a bad year last year, came back, had Saquon Barkley, and got everyone together. And A.J. Brown, now you're good. A.J. Brown, he had, he was reading. I guess the reading's helping him a little bit. I don't know if you heard about the
heard
reading.
about that book he was reading. Yes,
he was reading a book, and this book now basically got this guy out of debt, which is crazy, the guy who wrote the book. The reading's helping. They're doing really well. The Eagles could go to the Super Bowl. Am I rooting for them? No. Sorry. Again, a Niners fan. I would rather see the Commanders in it. I think they have a better chance, maybe? I don't know. I think both teams are about equal. I don't know. What do you think?
I will say this. Specifically for this Rams-Eagles game, both teams' defenses were excellent in this game. I think that both of the teams' defenses played really well until we got around to the later fourth quarter. But to see them both neck and neck, honestly, I didn't see the Rams holding their weight as much this year, especially against the Eagles. But it was nice to see that they did. Going into this next game here with the Commanders, I don't know. Me personally, I think the Eagles have it. I think it's really cool to see that the Commanders, come this far. But I don't know if they're going to be able to take it past the Eagles.
So I've got another stat for you.
Oh, boy.
And this is one that I saw this morning. The Eagles only lost this year at home is against the Commanders. Okay? The only loss for the Chiefs this year was the Bills. So we could see the narrative. They both played them before. They both beat this team before. Can they do it again? We'll see. We'll just have to wait. We're just going to have to wait. It's going to be the Commanders proved us wrong. We could say all we want. The Commanders are going to lose, and they might win. So we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't had them winning. And
I haven't either.
They took both, so.
And moving into the last game, which is the most, I think, anticipated game for everybody, was Ravens-Bills. I mean, this is 2 MVP candidates, 2 great teams. AFC, this is, in my opinion, the Super Bowl of the year. That's how I saw this game.
Yeah.
And it was 2 snow games in a day. We saw the snow game at the Eagles and snow game for the Bills, but the Ravens were used to it. It's not like they're a Los Angeles team or a Florida team, so it's totally different. And so right away it was pretty close. I mean, it was 7-7 in that first quarter, and then quarter 2, the Bills took off 21-10. They scored 2 touchdowns in that second quarter, took the game into their own hands. Quarter 3, they didn't do anything. It was 19-21 Ravens. And I don't know if you watched the rest of the game, but quarter 4 was ridiculous, okay? The Ravens, they came back. It was 27-25. They go down the field. Before this, it was 19-27. They go down. They score a touchdown, okay? 2-point conversion try. Mark Andrews, wide open. Ball in his chest. He drops it. He drops the game-tying 2-point conversion, and that's it. That's it. And it was horrible. I don't know if you saw Mark Andrews. Do not send any hate to Mark Andrews. We love Mark Andrews. I think he's a great player, but a lot of people are sending him hate after this game, and I'm not saying I understand what they were saying, but I understand that the anger. Should not have sent the messages that they did. They sent some death threats, which was horrible. Do not send that. Bills Mafia actually donated to his charity after the game because of these death threats. Great. Bills Mafia. Well, awesome organization for them. Bills have been great. And this game just is it Mark Andrews' fault? A lot of people said it. Okay, it's Mark Andrews, right? He lost the game. But is it Lamar Jackson? Is he the problem? Because we have some things talking about it here. Lamar Jackson is 3-5 in the playoffs. Is that his fault? Is that his fault, Ray? What do you think?
To blame everything on him I think it's unfair. As much as, he's a contender for MVP, right? He's an excellent quarterback. A lot of people love him. And to blame him for everything, I think maybe, an argument could be made, but I don't think it's fair to blame him for everything.
I understand that sentiment, but he is 3-5, and the only times he's won against a playoff team is Ryan Tannehill, C.J. Stroud as a rookie, and Russell Wilson on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are not good teams.
No,
those are not good teams. Yes, did he make it to the AFC Championship last year against the Chiefs? Okay, that's Patrick Mahomes again, but I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't think it's all Lamar, but Lamar is an MVP. He could be a 3-time MVP after this. This is a 3-time MVP, maybe, and he's losing in the playoffs early. I mean, he beat a bad team. Obviously, he's played Josh Allen. I get it. But this is tough. It's a tough pill to swallow for Ravens fans. I live with a Ravens fan. He said it again. He said, Lamar Jackson does it again. That was his exact quote. He does it again because he cannot win in the playoffs. And that's the end of our NFL recap. We're going to get right back with everybody here on Saddleback College Radio, 88.5 HD2. We are going to listen to 116 King David by Reach Records, and then we'll be back with all of our college football and a little bit more of some NFL rumors. So we will be right back. My name's Carter Kirchhevel, Ray Goldslaw on the show. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in just a minute. Hello and welcome back to Saddleback College Radio 88.5 HD2. And we just finished our full NFL recap, but we're going to go through some more NFL rumors. Ray was talking during the break here. He was talking about Lamar Jackson. Kind of wanted to go over a little bit more about that, but we were just listening to 116 King David by Reach Records. One of my favorite songs, just put it on my playlist. And Ray, what were you wanting to talk about? Lamar Jackson. You were saying something about MVP. Why do you believe, what were you talking about? Let's just hear what you wanted to say.
I think that you can't deny that he's an incredible quarterback statistically, but like what you were saying earlier in the playoffs, I mean, to see him lose again and again, and to make him MVP while he's losing is, I don't know if it's fair. I think there's other people that could be a greater contender.
It's hard to say because it's like season awards.
Yeah.
So for example, Aaron Rodgers is a good example of this because he's only won one ring and he's a 4-time MVP. So, and I mean, he didn't have any playoff success. He lost to the Niners. I remember watching those games, watching the Niners beat him because it was like his kryptonite. He could never beat the 49ers. And whenever he would go against them, he lost to Jimmy G in the snow. 13-10.
That's
I remember that score vividly. I was at a camp out in I think it was in the mountains. I was out there and I was watching on my phone and I see the final score. I'm like, how did Aaron Rodgers, an MVP, lose to the 49ers in this game? But that's another example, right? There's MVPs that haven't won a ring. Or won the ring that year. So, I mean, I get it. I get why you'd say that, and I understand. But Lamar, he has had, I think, over 40 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions.
And when you say that on paper, I get it. You know, it makes sense there. But it's just sometimes I think it's a little confused because who's the other contender for MVP?
Josh Allen, and he just beat him.
And exactly. So
yes, it's tough because it's a season reward. You know, it's a season award, and
I get it.
What are you supposed to do? I would say Josh Allen. I'm a Josh Allen fan, so
when he comes
Josh
on
Allen.
Screen, it's just you can't hate the guy.
No, you can't. He's awesome. He's nice. And going in some more NFL rumors, more quarterback issues. Sam Darnold. I wanted to talk about him. I wrote all of this down about him. I wrote like a full-on paragraph because the Vikings, my parents love the Vikings. We talked about him for a while. And a lot of people are asking, do they go with Darnold or they give it up and they say, J.J. McCarthy, the national championship winner for Michigan, is it your turn? So where's your thought on this? Do we stick with Darnold? Do the Vikings go and pay him like $40 million a year, or do they stick with a rookie who's cheap?
Here's the thing: you can't just throw the rookie in. I don't think that you can when you have Sam Darnold, you can't just throw the rookie in. I think you keep him right under Darnold. You throw Darnold in, you pay him, you get him out there for one season. After that season, then the question comes in: okay, we have this guy now. We've seen what he can do. Let's see, Darnold. I don't want to say he's going to get injured, but I'm saying like let's let the rookie in a couple games here and there, and let's see what he can do. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a push, but I think you can't throw Darnold to the side and just throw in this rookie. That's not how this works.
You could though, and that's the thing. People want it.
No,
the fans want it, and that's the tough thing because they've seen QBs come in, play one good year. Like Daniel Jones played one good season, and they paid Saquon Barkley over Daniel Jones. Or the opposite. They paid Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley, and they traded away Saquon Barkley. Do you want, Aaron Jones would be gone, if they pay Sam Darnold. They might lose Jordan Addison because they might not have the capital to pay him. It's a lot of questions because do you lose heavy talent for a quarterback that has had one good year and he was not accurate this year?
That's a fair point to look at when you look at the holistic part of it. All the moving parts of all the players. I get that, but Sam Darnold he's a great quarterback. I think people sleep on him a little bit. Yeah, when it comes to the playoffs, he does get a little frazzled, stressed out. But it's tough. It's a tough call.
I also have a quote from Bleacher Report. It says, for those who were skeptical of Darnold's success this season, they surely felt validated for those beliefs when he may have turned back into a pumpkin on the biggest stage. That is the exact quote because he did. I mean, he had two games to prove himself, and he played awful, but it's funny because Daniel Jones joined the team for those 2 games.
Yeah.
Moving back to Daniel Jones, but that's not really the topic of this conversation, but Sam Darnold can he do what I'm thinking is franchise tag? You keep him for one more year, like you said.
Yeah, you keep him 1 year.
See what happens if he plays awful
then
first few games.
Obviously.
Just boot him. And you put in JJ, put in the rookie.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people are talking about.
I think that's the safe bet.
Okay, the safe bet. I agree with that safe bet. And moving into another quarterback, I talked about him all year this year, was Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, he struggled badly against the Texans during the wild card round, got eliminated first round. You know, this Chargers team, they weren't expected to do really anything. And 4 of these interceptions, I watched back the tape. 3 of them were on his receivers, which I do believe that interceptions should be a wide receiver stat still, because it makes sense that they should be.
For certain
interceptions.
Yeah.
If the ball is bounced out of your hand, it should be on the receiver, not the quarterback. But that's beyond the point here. 4 interceptions, lost 32-12 in the game, and it just wasn't good at all. So Herbert, okay, obviously he's going to be kept. He's an awesome quarterback. Yeah. Is it on him, or do you think the talent around him? Because he didn't have a lot this year. Where can they go? Do you think they can pick up somebody? What's the option? Do you think they go to the draft or free agency?
The Carters have been the Chargers. The Chargers have been an interesting team to watch in recent seasons. You know, I think Herbert's a great quarterback. I do think so. And for him to put up interceptions like this, it's not the first time, right? This is a reoccurring.
This is kind of an ongoing thing here.
To put, again, same thing with Lamar. To put the whole blame on him, I get how valuable quarterbacks are. You know, they really are. But I think, you know, as a team, it's a team blame. His wide receiver game this season isn't as what you say Super Bowl worthy, obviously. So I think there's part to do with that. But yeah, I'm seeing the Chargers on the trade board. I'm seeing them definitely free agents, and I'm looking forward to this draft when it comes up. I want to see who they pick up.
For sure. I feel like if Los Angeles can add a few pieces, Jim Harbaugh can work with that and
100%.
Really change this team from, you know, they were kind of average this year. So they can definitely be a top team.
There's potential.
Definitely. Now moving into the NFC North, there's been a lot of talk about the NFC North because the Lions just lost, the Vikings lost, the Packers lost. All 3 of those playoff teams lost. The Bears aren't very good, but the other 3 teams are really good. And they're really good regular season teams, and then they go out and they lose. First round of the playoffs. I mean, 7th seed gets first rounded. That makes sense. 5th seed maybe gets first rounded. First seed gets first rounded in the playoffs?
Yeah, and loses.
That's not okay. Allowing 45 points when you're the number 1 seed, the NFC North has something going on. And I don't know if they're just a regular season division at this point, because a lot of people were arguing that the Vikings should have the 2nd seed because of their record, but they didn't play a lot of teams this year.
No.
So do you think that the NFL should keep this same like playoff system? Because, you know, it is eliminating these teams that are higher seeded. I mean, it does work, I guess.
That's a great question. I mean, we just had the college football playoffs be reworked. I mean, why not go for the NFL next? I think there's definitely some room for improvement, especially like what you said. Could they change it around? I mean, I don't think it's going to happen next season. I think there's definitely going to be a season or 2 before that really does become a prominent question on the forefront of people's mind.
Yeah. I understand that. And we have the NFL's thoughts on the playoff system. ESPN has like different options. The option number 1 is going to a 12-team playoff like the college football playoff instead of this 14-team 7th seed, because the 7th seed has not won a game. I think they've won 1 game, 1 time, because they play the number 2 seed. And the number 1 and number 2 seed, it really isn't worth to have the 2 seed anymore. It's only the number 1 seed.
No, I get it.
And so the number 2 seed doesn't have a bye. Do you think this 12-team playoff would fix that basically issue?
I mean, obviously it would fix that specific issue, but you got to look at it holistically. What are the other changes that would incur?
It would have problems because I think the NFL wants money.
Oh,
they love their money, so they're not going to really do that. And there's even another option. Option number 2 on their system is to make it a 16-team playoff. So 8 seeds would make it. So even more teams making Week 18 actually matter more because there would be more teams in contention, which would be more fun to watch. But that 8th seed, you know, you're playing the 1 seed the first week, and the 1 seed has no bye.
No chance.
I don't think that's going to happen. And then number 3 is reseed the playoffs based on record, kind of like the NBA. So regardless of where each team finished within the division. So it's like the number 1 team and number 2, number 3, number 4, it's all seeded like the top 7 teams in that conference, like in the NFC, the top 7. I think this system could work.
I actually like that, yeah.
I think a team like, for example, the Vikings then would be the number 2 seed, and they'd actually have a chance in the playoffs. They had to go on the road to Arizona to play the Rams, who are a good football team. You know, they struggled early in the year, but they really came together as a roster.
I would say so.
And they had to go on the road as a 14-win team, the first 14-win wildcard team.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. But again, you got to take into account. Okay, record is very important. As a Florida State fan, I will say that.
There you go.
I will say record is very important, and it sucks when your record does not get taken into account. I'll say that. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think that there definitely is some room for improvement, but it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening for the foreseeable couple of years, at least.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. It's not going to, but I do think, if anything, they're going to expand to 16. If anything is going to happen in the next few years, they're going to expand to 16, go to an 18-week season, or like, is it 18 now? I think it's 18 now. But go to like a 20-week season with 2 bye weeks. Just make it more money for them to make. That's how I feel the NFL is going to take it.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not upset at that because it's more football.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's more football.
I think as
more football for us to talk about.
Exactly.
more for us to come on the show and talk about. Now moving into college football, because we talked all about that. The college football championships were just yesterday. It was the Buckeyes versus the Fighting Irish, and Notre Dame, a non-conference team. They were not in an actual conference this year and made it to the Natty, and they played okay. I mean, not great. I mean, they started off the game 7-0 in the first quarter, and then it just went off the rails. It was 21-7 in the second quarter. Third quarter, 31-15. They had a little bit of a comeback in that fourth quarter, so it was 31-23, but nothing else. So, do you think that this team like Notre Dame, should they have to join a conference? They get to go to the Natty. Obviously, they play in the playoffs, but they all year don't have to play anybody basically. And then they get to the playoffs and they play a few good teams, you know, in the playoffs, and they beat those teams pretty easily, and they make it to the national championship. It's fine, but a team like Oregon has no chance on the other side because they have to play Ohio State first. Yep. Do you think that they should have to join a conference and play against true opponents all year?
Yeah, I think that's definitely in the works. Notre Dame's a great team. Don't get me wrong. Wonderful football program. They definitely need to join a conference. We've had a lot of conference changes within the last season and a half. Like, it's insane the amount of changes that have been made. Yeah, like what you said. Coming up to this game, Notre Dame didn't really have, I'm not going to say they didn't have too much of a challenge, but I'm saying nothing as to what Ohio State or even Oregon.
Yes.
Oregon faced
tough teams all year.
A monstrosity of a lineup. And coming up to this national championship, I didn't have faith that Notre Dame would win. I had Ohio State winning it. First half, first half, I think that it was close. Second half, Notre Dame kind of made a little comeback, a little bit.
They did a little bit, just a teeny bit.
But yeah, no, it was Ohio State's game for sure.
Definitely. And Riley Leonard for Notre Dame, giving him his props. He did well on the first drive of the game. Yeah. He ran all the way down the field. I don't know if you saw. He threw up on the sidelines after that drive.
Did he really?
Yes. He was on the sidelines. He threw up they said on ESPN's post, he threw up everything on the sidelines. So he was so tired because their first drive of the game, they ran QB blasts like 20 times.
Yeah.
Like he was just running the ball off the gut.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked. But then Ohio State, they figured that out and it was over. But Ryan Day, okay, he was a big talk because it was his day.
It was his day.
And he finally, I wrote here, finally shuts everyone up because all year long it's been fire Ryan Day, get him out of here. We don't want you. Michigan, you lost to Michigan. You're an 8th seed. Ohio State should be higher. And you go win the national championship as an 8th seed. This team, as an 8th seed, got to grow together, improve together, and go win a national championship. That's what I feel like with the Commanders in the NFL side. They're about the same type of team. This team really improved all year long and proved themselves.
I'd say so, yeah, 100%.
And Ryan Day himself, he's completely silenced the haters and the mad fans and just proved everyone wrong. Totally proved everyone wrong. Now moving into the NFL draft, because that's kind of into college football, right? Right. We got to look at these top 10 picks here. So, number 1, you got the Titans. Number 2, you got the Browns. Number 3, you got the Giants. Number 4, you got the Patriots. Number 5, you got the Jaguars. 6 is the Raiders. 7 is the Jets. 8th is the Panthers. Number 9 is the Saints. And number 10 is the Chicago Bears. Now, I just want to look at some NFL draft prospects. There's not a lot of guys from those 2 teams on this list, but I want to talk about a few of them, and I'm going to point out, I think, 3 right away. And that's Travis Hunter Abdul Carter for Penn State, and thirdly is Ashton Genty. I'm going to point out those three right away. Those are some skill positions. Then we'll go into the quarterback talk in a little bit. But who would you pick? If you're Tennessee as the number one pick, do you go for a QB? You have Will Levis, who did not play well. Do you go for Shedeur Sanders? Do you go for Cam Ward? Or do you go for one of these skill positions and wait in the draft? What do you do? What would you do if you're the Tennessee Titans?
Okay, here's the thing. I really like the running back from Boise State. Ashton Genty. I really do like him. But if I'm the Titans, I'm not going to pick a running back. I don't think I'm going to pick a running back. I think you have to go for a quarterback.
Oh, you have to go for it?
I think you have to go for it.
I think you do. It's the tough thing right now is the QBs in last year's draft were so much better than this year. There's two of them. There's Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and they wouldn't have been picked in the top 5 this last year because you've got Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. You've got all those guys who are really good talents, and this is just not it. In my opinion, if I'm the Titans, I almost trade this pick and take a haul for it or trade for a QB.
That's a good move. Because I know, because who's after the Titans? Let's see.
We got the Browns second. So the Browns are needing a QB, but they have Deshaun Watson. So I think they could trade with someone like later. Like I think they could trade with the Raiders, who are in that 6th spot. And the Raiders want Shedeur. They want him there, and they want Coach Prime because Coach Prime. They talked about bringing him in. So I think that the Raiders would be that team that would be gullible and say, here's 10 first-round picks for it, and just gamble everything away because that's what the Raiders are. I'm going to be honest. They're that team. They're in Vegas. They gamble everything away. They're going to gamble on it. And moving into kind of Travis Hunter's talk, is he going to play cornerback or is he going to play wide receiver? What do you think? This guy is a major talent, but he plays on both sides of the football. Does he do it in the NFL?
I think that, there are some players that can do that. But are they as good as the players that stick to one? No. One that comes to mind is the...
You're thinking Taysom Hill
I'm
a little bit?
Taysom Hill,
Taysom
right?
Hill for the Saints.
For the Saints. I mean, he plays quarterback and tight end.
Quarterback, tight end. I feel like he plays everything. He plays running back, too.
yeah, right. Did he play either of them well?
No.
But he can. He's not horrible, but, the Saints did have some quarterback
They had some issues.
Troubles. Everybody got injured, but yeah.
Yes. Travis Hunter, though, this guy, he's proved everyone wrong at every single turn. So I feel like he might try, but I feel like the team that might pick him up would be the Patriots. Because the Patriots have their QB. They have Drake May.
Yeah.
They just got a new head coach, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
He's more defensive-sided. So
I would
maybe
like to
getting
see him
him
go to the
cornerback,
Patriots.
receiver. We'll see what they do with that.
I would like to see that. That definitely would
And then
work.
thirdly is Abdul Carter. You know, he's the I say the Micah Parsons of this draft because he's number 11 Penn State. You know, the whole connection.
Yeah.
I could see someone like the Browns going for him and just putting him on the side of Myles Garrett. Like putting him on. Think about that defensive line. You have Myles Garrett, Abdul Carter on the other side. It's over for any team that goes against him.
That would be huge.
It'd be huge for them. And I mean, Deshaun Watson, I don't know what to say. He's not really that great, but he could do okay if he plays average during the year and the defense carries the team. They could be a playoff team, like 10 wins, 11 wins, and they could make the playoffs. Kevin Stefanski's a great coach. He brought Joe Flacco to the playoffs. So,
I hear what you're saying. I agree with everything. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs.
You don't think they can make the playoffs? If they can do a decent job in this draft and Kevin Stefanski can get Deshaun Watson to do okay, I feel like they could make it. They could make, a 7 seed. They can make it to the 7th seed, just barely.
No, I think they just barely miss. The best they can do is just barely miss.
Okay.
Coming from 3-14 this season, come on.
Yeah, you're right. And I want to move into some draft kind of rumors. Cameron Skattebo. Do you know this name or no? Do I have to explain who this guy is to you? Cameron Skattebo is the Arizona State running back that played insanely well against Texas. He had, I think, a rushing, receiving, and I think he also threw a touchdown in this game. He was like the Triple Crown, basically. And Cameron Skattebo, is he the steal of the draft? He declared, and he's not even in the top 10. He's not even close to it. He could be a late-round pick for somebody.
There's a few of those that I think that late-round pick, almost I'd say sleeper pick. Like, it's an incredible player that it gets almost overshadowed by some of the top 10, top 15. What position is he at right now in terms of the draft?
Right now, I think he's late second, like not even maybe third. I haven't totally looked into Cameron a lot. But no, I do think he could be picked. Great Arizona State guy. Last thing, because we're running out of time here.
Man.
We are going to go into Cam Ward and Shedeur predictions. Where's Shedeur going? Where's he going? Ray's thinking, where's he going to go? Or where does Cam Ward go? Where do you think both those QBs go? Because you got the Giants, the Titans. Where do these guys go?
I think one definitely goes to the Titans.
Okay.
I don't think the Browns are going to take one. Like you said, Giants.
The Giants got to take a guy. They have to. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
I feel like Cam Ward will go first. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think teams are going to pass up on Shedeur right away because of his struggles in the bowl game that he played. He struggled there. Cam Ward played a better bowl game than he did. Not
That's
great.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward will go first in that one. And I don't know. It's tough to say because I feel like the Raiders are going to trade up. They're that team that would trade up in this draft. I mean, we've got the top 10 picks, and there's not many teams that need a QB unless the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers retires. We don't know yet. So they might need somebody. I mean, the Jaguars don't need somebody. The Patriots don't need anybody. The Browns don't. The Saints, yeah, but they have Derek Carr. The Bears, no way. Panthers, no way. There's a lot of these top 10 picks that aren't going to be quarterbacks.
Yeah, no.
So there's really that space for those two.
Yeah.
So
the space is there for them. And I think I agree with you. The Titans, Giants, I think those are the two teams that would benefit the most.
Yeah. One other player that I want to talk about is LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier.
Yep.
Do you believe he'll go maybe to like a team later like the Raiders? Like if the Raiders can't get the top two, do you think they go with him? Like Garrett instead?
I think there's potential. I think that he definitely there's definitely an opportunity for him.
Yeah, I truly believe that. Like later in the draft, like second round, maybe third round. Yeah. And that is the end of our full-on talking segment all about college football and all about the NFL draft. Thank you so much, Ray, for being on the show. It's been
thank
awesome.
you for having me. It's been a wonderful time.
Very, very fun. And we're hoping that he'll come back later this semester, maybe even next week. We'll see, maybe.
You'll hear from
me. But I'll hear from you. Yes, thank you so much again. My name's Carter Kirchhevel. This is Catching Up With Carter. We're going to have a few songs, and then we have the Jeffing Jeffrey show right after this. It'll be very fun. Be here. It's 5 to 7 o'clock. I always listen. It's a super fun listen to be here on 88.5 Saddleback College Radio. And again, thank you so much for listening.